In this video, we're going crazy with Govee. So one of the big issues that I had with this house when we moved in is that there's just not a lot of lighting outside. So we're on about 2.6 acres and it's not well lit at all. If you get up by the house, there's floodlights that make it so you can see the driveway or whatnot. There's not a whole lot down here, and in between here and the house, there's almost nothing. And of all the stuff that I have used in the past, the company that I think I have had the least problems with is Govee. So it just made sense to look into Govee for lighting options and see what made the most sense. And came down to a few different things and areas that I wanted to address. Primarily the distance between here and the house. If you follow the road from here up and around, it is about 300 feet. So it's a pretty good haul up there. And I looked at the Govee String Lights, and these come in 96-foot sections. So that should work pretty good to light up the whole way up there. Another concern that I had was just the pathways itself and different areas. And I wanted to spice it up a little bit, make it look nice. And so we did get 2 of the Govee ground light kits, which should be pretty cool. I'm gonna have to lay them out to decide exactly where I'm gonna put them, but I think I got some ideas for that. Another concern that I had, the shop looks pretty good. I got new garage doors on. You'll see those here in the video in a little bit. And you know, we got the HVAC in and everything's looking great here, but the lights on the outside are just very dated. And I'm a smart light kind of guy. I like the smart lights, and I just wanted to get that upgraded. And I've actually used these in the past. I've got them on the house right now, and I like them a lot. They are actually really good, really nice. They fit well on this color scheme of the house and the shop here. So I got 2 of those for the outside of the shop here, which are just gonna replace the lights that are out there right now. Install's pretty easy. We'll go over that as well. And last up is the eaves lighting. I really like the eaves lighting on the old house. I had Govee in the front, I had Lumery in the back. I'm going back to Govee on this one, and we're gonna be installing the Govee Pro light on the shop here, just around the shop itself. And that should bring a lot of lighting, which will bring a lot of security, but a lot of automation too. That's the big thing with all of these, and really smart lighting in general. The Lumery stuff I've dealt with, the XM Kazi, as well as a few other brands that I've used as well, that just add a lot of automation to everything, which is really nice. I can go in an app and tell it to turn on. I can set timers that make it turn on and off at certain times of day. And you know, it's just in general works really well. I can even get motion sensors and tie in all this with motion sensors that are in a separate circuit that make everything click on. And the more and more that I've played with the smart lighting, the RGB and things like that, coming from the automotive side, it's impressive just how much has been developed for the home side of lighting. So it's really cool to do similar stuff to what we're doing on cars and things like that, but seeing just how well developed stuff is for the home within this space. And Govee is definitely at the forefront of most of that innovation. So really excited to expand on the Govee lineup here at the shop leading up to the house and be able to do a bunch of fun lighting. But first up, we're going to focus on the string lights, because that's going to address my biggest concern, and that is walking from here to the house at night and potential critters and God knows what else might be hiding in the woods. I'm fortunate enough that the entire yard is fenced in, so I shouldn't have to worry about too much getting in here, but we have most definitely seen a dozen plus deer, possums, raccoons, a lot of things. I saw in the snow the other day, it looks like almost like big cat paws. So I don't know what it was. I don't know animal tracks, but yeah, that will make me feel a little more safe walking to and from, that something doesn't jump out at me in the middle of the night. So for the string lights themselves, they are actually hung on things. So generally, if you have like a deck or something like that, you can hang it. You can even hang it from like a tree to another tree, or you can hang it from like a porch to a gazebo or something like that. But in the case of this, we are gonna have to go quite a ways up the road to the house, and there's really nothing to hang it from. So I had to go online and try to figure out the best solution. So I went online and looked at a few different options, and I ended up settling on these 10-foot string light poles, and they are quite tall. As you can see, it is probably off camera right now, but yeah, they're 10 feet tall. So they will go up there pretty good, and they're made to be spaced about 12 to 15 feet apart. So we should be able to get quite a few in there. And I did end up having to buy quite a few because, as discussed, I do have quite a long ways to run. It's pretty cool. They do have these little spikes. They screw in together. They are made of metal, and right now they cost about 50 bucks for 4 of them. So price-wise, it's not too bad, but they are specifically made for string lights. So we're gonna see how they hold up. We're gonna see how well they go, but that is the plan. So we're gonna put one of these every 15 feet out there. We'll try to figure out our electrical and where we're gonna run that, because it is something you do wanna consider with these kits. So let's go ahead and see what's inside the box. Looks like we got a whole lot of lights here. So here is the controller. So it looks pretty straightforward. You got a controller and you have your plug. Now, obviously the plug here is not a waterproof plug. I do have a game plan for that. I'm gonna get some boxes for outdoor that are watertight sealed, and then run plugs into them, and then this plug, and that should keep everything nice and waterproof and allow me to put the power where I need to along the line. Now these are IP65 waterproof, so they're perfectly suitable for outdoor use, not submerged in water, so you wouldn't want to have them on a boat, you wouldn't want to have them under the water in a pool or anything like that, but you know, IP65, that'll be perfectly fine for outdoors, water, rain, anything like that. It shouldn't cause an issue as long as it's not submerged in water. So this looks pretty straightforward. We're gonna go outside and lay it out, at least down here around the shop, and just see what kind of length we're dealing with and get an idea of how often we're gonna wanna put in poles. So I do have power connection over at the pool, so I think that's gonna be a central point. Gonna see just how close I can get to that power connection and run it along here up to the tree line there. And then from that same point, go all the way up towards the house. And then that third power point, I should be able to plug in at the side of the house. So that is the current game plan. And some of this will take just measurements and seeing just how everything lays out as to what kind of power injection I might have to do. All right, so I've got it laid out there. You can see starting in the corner where I'm gonna go, and it goes right down to the end of this section of the driveway. And the electrical is right up there by the pool. So that's actually gonna work pretty good. I got these poles now, and I'm gonna go ahead and lay them out roughly where I'm gonna have to put them. And this is roughly 15 feet between. Now I'm gonna go back and actually measure just to make sure that I'm pretty consistent on the spacing. I may not go a full 15. I did get more than enough poles to get all the way up to the house. And I do wanna make sure that it's not sagging too much in the middle. Plus, I'm assuming that if you're having more poles more frequently, it's less weight on the poles, so they're more likely to hold up better. Being a 15-foot spread between them, it could potentially, in a windy day or something like that, break a pole or something like that more likely. I don't know longevity of these poles and just how long they might last on a windy day or something like that with these. But the string lights are actually pretty light, so I'm not too worried about that in general, but we're gonna try to play it safe rather than sorry. So it looks like I'm gonna need a couple more poles, but first off, I'm actually just gonna reroute this plug up over here and plug it into the pool. All right, so I got them lit up now, plugged into the pool. I'll run an extension cord to get it a little bit closer to the street, but for now, I'm gonna go ahead and measure out the distance between these poles and get the first 4 put in, about 15-foot spacing, and just see how it looks down here. So as you see behind me, I did get 4 of the poles set up and the lights. I got a little bit of a late start today, so the sun has already gone on me, but it does give you a little bit of an idea, at least to start, just how well it'll light up here. And we'll see the path going up to the house tomorrow when I get all those poles laid out. So far, it doesn't look too bad. I do think on this first pole, I'm probably gonna have to secure it to the tree, because the strings, I could totally see them pulling that pole or bending it or breaking it in the long run. So I will be doing that on that side. So just keep it in mind if you are spreading them evenly. I think for the most part they're just holding it in the air, but if you are starting on one of these poles, you're definitely going to consider doing something to shore up that pole, because long term I don't think that first pole would hold up very well. But I think the rest going clear up to the house, I think will do pretty well until I get to the very last pole again, and I'll have to figure out something for that. But I'll brainstorm that a little bit more tomorrow and try to figure out what the best solution is for that. But for tonight, I think I'll call it a night, and we'll try again tomorrow and see if we can get more of this put up. So went ahead and got the rest of the poles set up and got the string lights strung up. I did check everything just electrically to make sure everything was good, but we're going to come back now and do something a little bit more of a permanent solution for the power. One of the big concerns I had with how I was going to go about lighting everything up was the ability for it to last long term, which we'll see on the poles, see how that goes. And also the ability to weed whack, mow, things like that without having to worry about wiring or anything getting in the way. So I can't have just an extension cord running across the yard like I have right now. That's not going to work long term. So I had to figure out the best solution to that. When I laid everything out, being that I am using 3 strands, one thing that I thought of was to centralize the power. So effectively you have a 96-foot section going one way and a 96-foot section going the other way with one central power location. Now I'm using 3 total, so I'm going to have 2 points of power that I'm running. Fortunately for us, we do have a power connection right here at the pool, which ended up working out really well. Start at the far end of the driveway there, and it comes up to this pole, and then I start the next strand at this pole, and it runs out towards the house. And so that'll work pretty well. Did measure that out, and it's right at about 30 feet from that to over here, assuming I run it around the pile of rocks and things like that. So for that, I did get this outdoor extension cord, and it is rated to be used outside in the weather and things like that, so that's a plus. And then for the actual connection to the unit itself, I got these smart yard stakes. Now these are Wi-Fi controlled. You don't have to go that. A lot of them have timers or even a remote that you can use, but I like the ability to tie in with the Wi-Fi itself. So let's say down the road I decide to plug something else into it or to go a different route with it, I can actually set this to be on a Wi-Fi timer or control it remotely if I want to. And that will give me a little bit more flexibility in the future depending on different devices that I might add in the yard. So with a little bit extra money for the Wi-Fi compatibility, but I think it's going to give me a little bit more headroom to do some things in the future if I decide to. So here is the unit itself with the stake that's included. So it looks like it'd be pretty easy to install here. This stake just screws right on, so you can pull that off. Hammer it down or push it down in, obviously making sure you don't damage any of the plastic here, and it'll just screw right onto that like so and sit in the ground like that. There is about a 6-foot extension here, so depending on your situation you might be okay just running that up to a house or another electrical outlet that you might have, but in my case, like I said, I do have to run a little bit longer, so I'm going to do that. As far as the plugs themselves, you would definitely not have any issues with one plug if you just have one. I will say they are a little bit large, so if you're planning on plugging in 2, it is a little tight in there, and I might actually trim the box just a hair for the power supplies themselves to sit flush, but it will close with 2 of these in one box. You're not going to get a whole lot more in there than that, but for my purposes, it'll work perfectly fine here. It won't be a problem at all on the other strand because I've only got one plug-in in over there. And it was delivered to me overnight from Amazon. So pretty quick to get it here and be able to put it in. So that'll be the plan there. I'll connect it to the extension cord and use this waterproof box. And I will put a link in the description of this video to all the stuff that I've used here, just so that you know, whatever you get, what to expect with that. All right, so I have buried the wire. I'm only a couple inches down, but it should be perfectly fine over here. Just keep in mind that if you do end up burying wire like I did, just a couple inches down, if you ever end up going back and digging anything up, you do run the risk of hitting that wire. So just be careful with that. But in general, when it comes to mowing, weed whacking, or anything like that, I'm not gonna end up messing up the wire. I can run over it with the lawnmower, cars, anything like that, and I'll be okay. I have my box hooked up. The wire is ran up under the dirt, coming up over here. And I've got it currently plugged into the box at the pool here. And now coming off from the other side, I have it coming up, going under the deck, and then out the other side. And then similar to the shorter run over there, I do have it buried about 3 inches down along the ground here, going up to another box. This seems to work pretty good. And I do have the controller hanging on here. It is rated for being outside, so it should be okay. Worst case, if I ever have to replace anything, it's literally just right there. I'll unplug it, replace the controller, and it'll be okay. But on the Govee stuff, it does seem to actually hold up really well outside, so I'm actually not too worried about it. So we got our strings ran the whole way, once again, meeting in the middle over here, and then our central box over here, it splits out. So we have a total of just under 300 feet of string lights ran. We'll just have to set it up in the app. I'll wait till the sun sets a little bit so we can see it a little bit better. And once again, these things, while you probably can see them in daylight, it's gonna look a lot better at night. So we'll come back tonight and we'll go ahead and connect it to the Wi-Fi and program some things. All right, so we went ahead and turned on the power for the lights here, and whatever color it might end up being can vary, it just depends. Just go ahead and open up the Govee app, and we're gonna hit that plus sign on the top corner, and you're gonna see the first one show right up. We'll hit add. Now you may need to be close to the actual base module to get a connection. So if you don't see it, just move a little bit closer to that and it will connect. So we'll go ahead and name our device, and it can pretty much be whatever you want. We'll call this one Backyard String Light. And you're gonna once again want to connect to your Wi-Fi. Once again, I am using an IoT network, but whatever your Wi-Fi is, make sure your phone is connected to the Wi-Fi when you're doing this. And type in your password and hit done. Now it's going to ask you here how many strings are in your section. Now they do sell 2 different styles. This one we are doing a 2 string section, so we do want to choose the 30 bulbs there, and we'll hit done, and we are connected. You can see that is the section that we just added. Now we can go back and add another section, and you're going to do this for each one of the sections that you add. Maybe you only have one, but in my case I will be doing this 3 times. So now we have all 3 of our string lights added. Now you can hop over to that little circle icon there at the bottom and create a group here, and we'll just hit create group, same model group control, and we can choose all 3 of these and add them in. And that will give us the ability to control all of them as a group. And now if we want to turn them all off, turn them all on. Colors, scenes. You can see you got quite a few different options there and different modes that you can do then. But for me, most of the time, I'm just going to have it on this basic natural white looking color here. And that should be enough to light up the backyard, make it easier for me to see where I'm going at night if I'm walking back in the dark. And just a nice little welcome lights for anybody that might come up to the house at night. Now, something else that I personally really enjoy about smart lighting is the timers. Now, timers, once again, you do have to go into each individually and set those timers. So you go in and you'll see I've got timers set for 7 o'clock to 1800. So they turn off at 7 a.m. Monday through Sunday. And they turn on every day at 6 p.m. Monday through Sunday. And I've done that on all 3 of these sections. That just gives me the automation aspect that I really want with the lighting. As the summer days start to grow a little bit longer, I'll adjust that just to make sure that it's turning on right about the time that the sun is setting and turns off right about the time the sun is rising. But that's it. There's not a heck of a lot to it. It's actually pretty simple to set up these lights versus some of the other ones that I've set up in the past. It does set up the yard quite nicely, and as you can see from some of the drone shots, it really does just make everything feel a little bit safer and just a little bit more visible. You know, if we have any late night get-togethers, these will definitely help to make the pool more accessible and things like that during the summer. I'm sure I'll probably add a few more lights around the actual pool itself and on the deck that should help even more. And definitely make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of those future videos that are coming down the line.